The May 2015 elections marks the third election for the House of Representatives for the autonomous region of Bougainville and the fourth election for the president, including the by-election in 2008, since the Bougainville Peace Agreement was signed in August 2001. The agreement provided for elections to establish the autonomous region of Bougainville, which was formed after elections in 2005. Okay, in these elections, voters cast 4 votes, 4 separate ballots, 1 for the president and 3 for various types of representatives. These consist of general representatives who represent a single member constituency, women's representative who represent the interest of women from each region, that's the North, Central and South, and the former ex-combatant members who represent the interest of former combatants in the region. Well, in this election, there were many former combatants contesting all the seats, which was scary as some were issuing threats, for example, threats to cause instability to the peace process and to shoot certain candidates if they lost the elections. Well, deep entrenched militarism has fostered suspicions amongst our people, causing fear and feeling of insecurity. This forced certain candidates to have 24-hour security during campaign period. Bougainville is poised to host a referendum within the next 5 years with an option for full independence from Papua New Guinea. Well, the officials elected during the May election will play a significant role in guiding the autonomous government of Bougainville through this process. Polling for the autonomous Bougainville government began on the 11th of May 2015. 35 women have contested seats, with 23 standing for seats for women representatives and 12 for seats as constituency representatives. This is an increase over the past elections, which is attributed to training sessions for potential female candidates, as well as level of awareness raised in media, workshops over the past years on women, peace and security, especially on participation, protection, and prevention at different levels of decision making. For the first time, women's organizations supported women's participation and leadership and ensured women's rights to equal participation was recognized by men. Women's participation is vital at this time to achieving and sustainable peace. Women echoed together that they have proven during the Bougainville conflict that they can create change, especially in the next 5 years. They should be able to do even more for Bougainville in the parliament if given the opportunity. Change should be possible and visible when women participate in parliament. But some obstacles faced by women candidates lack funding support. In some areas, they are only accessible by sea. Male candidates and supporters were continually texting negative messages about women candidates. Women candidates had no political party support, cultural barrier. If a male relative was contesting in the same seat, the female candidate cannot raise her profile even when most are more educated than male counterparts. Bribery by certain male candidates, paying for votes or killing pigs, extension of polling period to allow those with no names on common rolls to vote elsewhere. This allowed candidates with money to hire vehicles for their voters. Threats by male candidates to women candidates, and polling places were too far from home. Women and children couldn't go because of heavy rains experienced during the polling period. And women could not stand and wait in the queue from 8 to 4 in the afternoon. So they had to leave without their children voting. And there were no names on the common roll. They were often told to go to the next polling to look for the names. And yeah, even though Bougainville is matrilineal, they still deep and entrenched inequalities. Women candidates found themselves unequal in wealth, power, and resources compared to male candidates. This is one reason why women are often excluded from political spaces. Targeted gender-based violence on mobiles, harassment, and hate speech was increasingly used to silence women candidates' voices and to keep them out of public spaces. Okay, some positive outcomes or opportunities. Women candidates have local networks in their constituency and regionally. They could have utilized this to their advantage. Most female candidates are clan chiefs, could have used their matrilineal leadership to their advantage. Some did, some didn't. Most female candidates are well educated and experienced than male candidates. Majority of men supported women candidates. Well, there were about 710 polling locations, with some polling taking place more than once in the same location. And in some, an awareness on LPV or limited preferential voting system was not carried out by the Electoral Commission as in previous elections. Some first-time voters did not know how to vote, and approximately 173 people's names were not registered on the common roll. Thousands of people were turned away from voting as they had not been registered. This was very frustrating for some eligible voters. Women also called for women-only polling places, which should be family-friendly. On the whole, Leitana Nehan Women's Development Agency in its weekly radio program continues to call for women's participation and decision-making and for supporters and candidates to accept the outcome of the election. Yes, it has been a peaceful and fair election.